Welcome back to the Pair Program. I'm your host, Tim Winkler, joined by my co-host, Mike Gruen. Mike, how's it going?
It's going all right. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, we're getting into Thanksgiving mode here.
Yep.
And so it always kind of leads to some controversial food takes, I feel like. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of kick it off with a little holiday themed F, Marry, Kill with some staples when you think about Thanksgiving food. So F, Marry, Kill, stuffing, mashed potatoes or cranberry sauce.
Well, it's definitely kill cranberry sauce.
Yeah, that was such a layup. I had a layup for you.
And then it's probably what was it? Mashed potatoes or stuffing?
Or stuffing, yeah.
I'll marry mashed potatoes. Yeah, could live off that. That'd be my
We have the exact same answers. I feel like does that line up with you guys too? Seems like am I missing
Even
one?
before you said something, I wanted to kill cranberry. So
didn't even need to bring it up.
Didn't even need an option.
Some people are pretty ridiculously obsessed with the cranberry sauce. It's not Thanksgiving without it.
My wife and her sister seem to be obsessed with the cranberry sauce. So there you go.
Yeah.
This year, speaking of controversial takes for Thanksgiving, I believe my mom put out an email suggesting that we were going to do Thanksgiving brunch this year. So
it's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest pet peeve with Thanksgiving is like we always do the travel to somebody else's home. Usually it's my wife's family, and then I'm exhausted and have to drive another hour home. It's like never really get that chance to just relax after eating. But.
Nice. Yeah, we go up and then spend the night and then usually come back on like that Saturday.
Nice. Cool. Yep. All right. Well, today's episode has absolutely nothing to do with Thanksgiving foods, but we are going to be dialed into an industry, insurance, which I'd say a lot of folks are thankful for. And today's focus is going to be on the specialty insurance market and how modern technology is catching up to modern risk. And so to help us break some of this down, we've got two guests, Nathan Hall, the CTO at Ledgebrook, a fast-moving startup that's rebuilding how commercial insurance gets quoted, underwritten, and bound using a modern tech stack, smart automation, and a broker-first mindset. And then alongside Nathan, we've got Mike Mansell, a principal at American Family Ventures, one of Ledgebrook's earlier investors. Mike brings the VC lens on why infrastructure first startups are leading the next wave of insurance innovation. So always great to get these two different perspectives on the Pair program. Mike, Nathan, thanks for joining us on this one.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Looking forward to this conversation and talking about things besides Thanksgiving, maybe.
I was going to say they're talking about Thanksgiving foods.
I'm glad you didn't ask us that question around
Well, before we get into the main discussion, we do kick things off with a fun segment we call Pair Me Up. We'll go around the room, spitball a couple of things that go together or maybe don't go together. Mike, you lead us off. What do you got for us today? Mike,
so my sister-in-law was visiting recently and just introduced me to edamame and wasabi, like various edamame covered with things. And the one that I gravitated towards was wasabi covered edamame, which are soybeans. And they've just become like a great snack food, nice for protein, and then the heat and the flavor of the wasabi to sort of cut the monotony of eating soybeans. Yeah, but it's been a good go-to snack for some quick, healthy protein.
Nice, dude. Yeah, classic little food pairing to kick it off. Yes, my daughter's obsessed with edamame. Actually, she's 2, going on 3, but something about just trying to break into the those little soybeans out. She loves it, and I was like, man, it's a healthy snack for her too. So
nice. Get her some wasabi covered ones. It'll be great.
Yeah, see if she snort some wasabi with it. All right, good stuff. I'll jump in. My pairing this week is recruiting and catfishing. It's top of mind lately. It's been obviously covered in the media. But we see it on a daily basis. And we actually just had 2 kind of client calls this week that were just kind of highlighting the problem of the huge uptick in fake candidate profiles of folks applying to jobs, just straight up fake resumes, usually AI generated. And most of them, for 100% remote jobs, but we probably screen 5 to 10 of them on a weekly basis. But, heard some horror stories from some of these companies. One going as far as having people showing up to like an in-person interview and then getting the job offer, and then a completely different person showing up for day one on their start date, which is, that's like some Hollywood shit there. So anyways, I feel like it's one I want to create like an entire episode around this kind of phenomenon that's just getting worse and worse. But for now, I'm just going to go with it as my pairing. So recruiting and catfishing.
I've heard that what people are doing now is be like, put your hand in front of your face if you're not a bot.
a bot.
They're like, well, I can't do that. Why would I do that? And it's like, because you're a bot.
Yeah, it's wild. There's a lot of little hacks and that we've kind of picked up on how to get folks to kind of get scared off if it's like even if it's a full remote role, like there could be the chance that you need to come on site for the onboarding phase, and then usually they'll be like, I'm not really interested anymore or something. So, yeah, we'll craft a full episode on that when we talk for hours on it. But let's pass it to our guest, Nathan. Quick intro and your pairing.
Sure. Nathan, my pairing is something that's happened recently, and I think I'm going to feel like a bad parent saying it out loud. I've got a very talkative 5-year-old, and sometimes when I'm done answering the question why, I will give him ChatGPT to talk to the voice on ChatGPT sometimes, and he will wander off for like 20 minutes talking to this, whatever it is. And I feel bad because like afterwards you can, he wants his conversation private, but of course afterwards you can actually look at what he's saying. It's actually quite funny or amusing. But those are my pairings right now.
That's great.
That is great.
Your answer to that is 5-year-olds talking to ChatGPT.
Hearing, yeah.
That's my go-to move. My go-to move I stole from my wife was, why do you think? Yeah.
I would love to see the feed on some of those questions, Nathan. I feel like that would be that would be comical.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again for joining us. Mike Mansell, quick intro on your pairing.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us. I'm Mike Mansell. I'm a principal with AmFam Ventures. We're an early stage venture capital firm focused on the future of insurance. My pairing, I guess it's top of mind because you mentioned you were recently at Lambeau Field. So I'm thinking the fall season and football is a good pairing. I'm based in Madison, Wisconsin. Summers are too quick here. So fall gives you something to look forward to by way of football.
Nice. Good stuff. I didn't know if you're going to sprinkle cheese curds in there. In lieu of the Wisconsin, that was like every person. Did you try the cheese curds? I'm like, I plan on it. But yeah, football in the fall season, it's unfortunate, just being a Commanders fan. Yeah, so it's a horrible season for us, but seems like the Packers are doing pretty well this year. So good for you guys. Cool. All right. I'm going to just kind of transition us into the heart of today's discussion. So, we want to cover a few different areas on this one. First, kind of like defining the problem set within specialty insurance, and how, the startup Ledgebrook is kind of tackling the problem. We'll hear more about designing for brokers versus, pure insurers, and highlighting where AI fits into this, of course. And then along the way, ensuring that we catch the investor perspective on all of this with the viewpoint from Mike at American Family Ventures. So let's dive in. Nathan, let's kind of maybe set the stage here. What's the core inefficiency that you all see in commercial E&S insurance that Ledgebrook is solving, and why it's such a pain point? And I'll just also say for some of our listeners who maybe aren't well versed in this kind of insurance, maybe just highlighting who E&S insurance is typically designed for.
Sure. So E&S is designed for people that were in the traditional insurance market, but they've been kicked out for whatever reason. It could be they had a ton of claims and nobody wants to insure them. It could be that the insurance company just decided, hey, I'm no longer writing any more houses in California. And so what we do, so the problem space is, let's say that you own 10 hotels and you want to go get insurance. There's lots of different types of insurance. There's property, general casualty, cyber, and you need it quickly. In general, if you were to do it through one of the legacy incumbents, you would be lucky if you get a response back within the first couple of weeks, and not a response that shows you what the premium is, what your coverage is going to be, but just a response that says, hey, I got your message. We'll look into it. A lot of times you don't get a response at all. So that's the primary issue that we have rallied around and solved, is just being quick to respond to our brokers, sometimes within minutes. Not just with a clearance, but also with a rated submission to say, look, either for your 10 hotels, given the information you've given me so far, we're talking roughly $100,000 a year. And that has been a big boon to our success with our broker partners.
So it sounds like delays and speed is a huge pain point for anybody trying to pursue those types of that type of insurance. I guess, Mike, just quickly from your side of the table, what was it that initially kind of stood out to you about Ledgebrook when you first came across them, and why speed and the quoting infrastructure kind of caught your attention as an investor?
Yeah, that's I remember vividly kind of the first few meetings, and I think the team was something that really stood out. So Ledgebrook's leadership team is actually, we could go back to your first question. A good pairing could be technology talent and insurance expertise, and that's something that Ledgebrook brought to the table early on. I think what has been really interesting with Ledgebrook and kind of key to their success is they're winning business versus competitors for non-price reasons. You don't want to be underbidding competition and growing as a low cost option. You could imagine an example, and we all hear probably like the Florida or California homeowners market as an example. If I started a homeowners carrier, I could grow really quickly if I offer prices that were substantially below the competition. And that's not something Ledgebrook is doing. The market is pretty competitive. People and distributors will find you if you're the cheap option. The broker's job in insurance is actually to literally shop. So one thing that Ledgebrook has done a really nice job is winning on speed and service as their key differentiator. And Nathan and his team on the tech side obviously drive that. So in many instances, Ledgebrook, in some ways, isn't in that auction market at all. In other words, brokers come to them, really like the speed and service, and bind as a first option.
Yeah, always just generally curious too, just from, we have a number of investors that kind of join with, founders from their portfolio, and just kind of getting that perspective on, what kind of signals stand out as an investor. Thing like traction. You kind of alluded a little bit of like the founder profile, sales velocity. What is it that you kind of, specifically look for to help gain conviction when you're looking at investments?
Yeah, I think, maybe broadly speaking, it's a combination of product, market, and team. Is the product something that the market needs? Is the market massive? And is the team, impressive? And in this case, Ledgebrook is going after, the commercial E&S market, which is a space that has grown substantially over the last decade, really. And so when we first invested, it was really just a pitch deck and an idea, but it had the necessary, high level ingredients. And then over time, we've kind of doubled down over time as Ledgebrook has, I'd say, maybe put simply, they do what they say they're going to do. So they hit their growth targets. The loss performance has been really strong. They're able to launch more and more products and bring on more and more impressive people. And so it's really been, Yeah, I don't want to say it's been an easy decision, but Ledgebrook has made it, it's been a joy to watch them continuously do what they say they're going to do. And that trust factor is something that really matters when we're making investments.
Nathan, I want to, come join as the CTO, right? I want to talk a little bit about, from the technology and maybe from the architecture of what you're building here. Given that you guys are obsessed with, speed or quote speed, what maybe just walk us through like how you all kind of built the platform for speed. What goes into that, and anything maybe from your stack or workflow that's makes this fundamentally faster than the status quo.
Sure. So one of the things that we started with was our policy administration system. So my personal philosophy on building things versus buying things is you want to build anything that's part of your core competency, right? And for us, that was speed and efficiency of the underwriter, and then anything that can help from a data perspective that impacts pricing. Having a policy administration something that can, keep track of policies once they've been issued, how much the final premium is going to be, adding additional changes after the fact wasn't going to move the needle, but it did provide us a great starting point in terms of having a very well-defined data model that we could, in a rich API ecosystem that we could build off of. And so from there, what we started looking at was like, okay, where are the pain points in the value chain, right? Like we get an email from a broker. That is how they want to deliver business. We have to clear it. We have to rate it. We have to send a quote back. Like those are the three primary steps that happen. So we started with clearance. How long does it currently take? Well, it was taking 160 minutes, I think, on average for one. And so we said, okay, these are pretty structured forms that are coming in, but there's a little bit of discrepancy sometimes between the form data and what the email will say. And so we leveraged a combination of OCR and LLM, and we whittled that down to about 3 minutes. And after that, we just kept picking and choosing. Where were the biggest pain points? What could we completely automate? And so the next thing was easy. It was, let's actually generate the rating. The premium amount that we're going to charge customers. And so those two things right there made it so that we can quickly, flip back a quote to the broker that says, look, for, like I said earlier, this much coverage, I can charge you $100,000 in premium. I would also I love my little anecdote. So we had a VP from a company, I'm blanking on the name right now, but he in insurance, and they did about $1 billion in premium a year. And he came over in here and we were showing him a demo of the system. And literally all I did was like click a button to generate a quote. That's it. It's a click a button to generate a PDF. Sounds like it's not that fancy, right? And he said, wait, do that again. So I clicked the button, generated the quote. And then he's like, and can you like change the amounts on there and generate again? So he changed the stuff. And he was like, oh my God, like the place that I just came from, that would have taken 2 days to get that from the IT department. We're also known as the IT department, not the engineering department, which still grinds my gears a little bit. But so that's like some of the things that we're up against from a legacy carrier. So the bar can be pretty low in order to, make the process better on every step of the chain, which has been a lot of fun to do.
I think it's interesting. I think you highlighted some of it, the amount of not technical solutions in insurance. It's like there's a few industries that just have not like embraced the digital revolution, and APIs and other things, and things are still, it's all it's all transacted over email, and which is definitely a challenge, I imagine. And being able to process those quickly, it sounds like that was like the first thing you identified as needing to deal with, which is, I think I'm curious, like when you balance that out versus like, hey, versus say building an API where the broker can come in, or a website where the broker can fill out a form and submit it. Why, like how you guys came, like that decision-making process of let's do email.
Yeah, the general thought is, it's really hard to change behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's other people in the space that have built out these digital portals and starting to try to make a digital wholesale brokerage, but it's really hard to convince the brokers who are very used to just searching for the name of the person they remember and forwarding the email on and having those correspondences easily.
Right.
And so after doing, basic product market fit, that was one of those things where like, well, maybe we could build it that way, but even better, instead of changing behavior, you meet the customer where they are and design around that.
And one way that you might think about Ledgebrook is they're really tech enabling human underwriters. So they're allowing the underwriters to be more productive through the use of technology, and lots of dynamics in insurance are relationship driven, and this particular area of the market is very relationship driven. So having the human in the loop is something that seems to matter greatly.
Which makes sense. It's a regulated, licensed space. There's you always need the human. I mean, the broker, the agent is an important part of that relationship and is, there to sort of help mediate that. So it makes sense. It would be there's always going to be a human in the loop.
Yeah. I'm just curious on like the user experience specifically for the broker. Like Nathan, how did you like in the team make sure that you were building with, I guess the brokers in mind, not just like insurers? Like, I'm always curious on like how you settled in on the broker.
Yeah. So what I always tell my team is like our customers, we build internal products for our underwriters. Our customers are the underwriters, but by proxy, they're the wholesale brokers. And so when you have that customer centric focus, right? It's once you get around trying to do the behavioral change, it's like, what can we do to first figure out what they're actually bothered by? And so after talking to them, it's always been like, there's a lot of times we'll send out a submission packet and we'll never hear back from the insurance company. A lot of times we'll send it out and we won't hear back for 4 weeks and it was due 3 weeks ago. And so that's how you're able to identify very quickly. It's like, okay, well, it's a speedy component. And once you establish that relationship where you do what you say you're going to do as our underwriter, the only thing that the broker has to remember is if I send it to Ledgebrook, I'm going to get a response. It might be a no, but it's going to be quick. And I'm not going to waste my time on this, very valuable account with them.
Speaking of like, kind of like building as a customer first company, Mike, as an investor, evaluating, well, I guess, how do you evaluate whether a startup is truly kind of customer first, especially in like enterprise or, like B2B heavy spaces?
I think maybe I'll try to generalize, but also relate this to Ledgebrook. And speaking to the industry and folks in our ecosystem is probably the most kind of tangible example I would give. So in Ledgebrook's case, they work with wholesale brokers. Wholesale brokers end up working with retail brokers. So broker feedback is something that we can get through our ecosystem quite easily. Our kind of the other end of the value chain, Ledgebrook works with capacity partners or reinsurance companies, and we can talk to reinsurance companies and see, is the business Ledgebrook writing, performing on plan? Insurance is in many ways it's massive. In other ways it's close and small. So we can also talk to competitors and say, are you seeing Ledgebrook in market? What are you hearing? What do you think of them? So I'd say the customer and ecosystem feedback is a useful kind of tool to use for when we invest, there might not be traction by way of revenue, or it might be super early, but there's certainly signals that we can get from industry before investing.
And just generally curious, when does American Family usually come in to an investment? What stage?
We have quite a bit of flexibility. We're typically on the earlier side, so think seed to Series B. Check sizes typically in the kind of 1 million to maybe 15 million range. So we're typically early, typically kind of pre-product market fit, often kind of sub 100 million revenue type investments.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we want to kind of touch a little bit on AI and kind of see where AI fits into kind of like what you all alluded to, and like empowering, like the underwriting side of things. So Nathan, can you share a little bit about how Ledgebrook is using AI and its workflows, and maybe just where does it add value, and where do you maybe intentionally not kind of automate things?
It's everybody's favorite topic right now, isn't
it? Hard to not be.
Yeah. So where I have found a lot of success with it thus far is workflow automations. So an example that I got two. So one is getting back to the broker quickly, right? There's the quote step, but there's also in between that's what we call the indication. It's getting back to them and saying, this is roughly based off the information you've given me where we can play ball from a pricing perspective. Does that work with your client? And they can quickly say yes or no. And so we, using AI and actual real machine learning, in addition to an LLM, we made a combination of basically it's a chat bot, but it can talk with our rating API. And so our underwriters can say, hey, this email just came in, rate it for me. Is it an appetite? And it'll go check our underwriting guidelines. And I'll say, yes, it's an appetite. It'll go look for which industry, which class code should we use to actually rate it. And then it will pull the information out of the email or the Accord forms and say, return back, roughly it's going to be, $50,000, assuming the clean loss history and a couple other things. So that one, has been great for the underwriter because it allows them to spend more time building out those relationships and less time doing a lot of the manual data entry that they would be doing otherwise. And another one that's very similar, but a lot more technically complex is loss runs. So every client, not a wholesale broker, but the actual insured, has to provide 5 years of loss history for us to be able to do an effective pricing. So, but they come in so many different forms, so many different file types. Even within the same file type, they're all different wordings, different table formats, very complex space. And so we've been able to, again, leverage a combination of OCR, real machine learning, and LLMs to extract that data and put it in a form, not just that helps our underwriters, but also helps our actuaries, because this is a huge treasure trove of data that we use for pricing and prediction. And so those two have been fun. Where it's not good, in my personal opinion, is what investors want to see and what our reinsurance partners necessarily want to see. Reinsurers want to see more of are you not ceding control to an AI bot, right? Like that's not going to stick well. They naturally can be a little more risk averse, and having that just doesn't really align with what Ledgebrook likes to do, which is, having a human involved in every part of it. But also them, it's a no-go. And so, and for me too, right? Like trying to figure out how to have a fully, underwriter be replaced by, LLMs in its current form. I just don't see it. And so it's not about replacing anybody. It's about augmenting what the individual can do.
Yeah, we see this all the time in critical infrastructure verticals that, we get a lot of companies or guests on the podcast that are innovating in or defense or national security, right? And, you've got automated systems that are being deployed on the battlefield, and they're never really fully comfortable with just giving full control to, that autonomous system versus having a human in the loop. I think the same applies into, your industry as well, where it's like, there's a lot of money on the line here, and just having, the trust that just, the bot or the AI is going to just automatically, spit it out. Let's just trust it. I think that carries over into so many different industries. So I appreciate you kind of pointing that out. Just a random question. Does your chatbot have a name? Everybody's got this like, kind of aggressive name.
It was originally called Lilbot, Lil apostrophe DOT. But then the joke became that I was so obsessed with it that it was basically my girlfriend. And so it was renamed to Lilybot. And so it's actually called Lilybot.
Lilybot. Okay. I like it. Mike, I wanted to ask you, you've obviously seen a huge wave of AI Insurtech pitches over the last year. So, what is it that kind of cuts through the noise for you, or, what kind of, sends off like a real signal that, this is really something here?
It's actually a pretty tricky question. It seems like every company that I'm talking to now is
an AI company
to do with AI. AI in the name, AI in the domain address, and I would say 12 to 18 months ago, maybe the traction hadn't caught up to the hype, or maybe the tools that were being put out there weren't being taken as meaningfully as they should have been. But now we're to the point where it seems like brokers and distributors are really leaning in. Carriers are definitely devoting meaningful resources to it. Yeah, employees at carriers and in the industry are also realizing they can't ignore it. So right now, the thing that is interesting to see is we're starting to see startups with more traction. The AI plus insurance pitch 12 months ago, most of them had, minimal traction. Some maybe had, 500K of ARR or maybe $1 million. Now we're starting to see some of those early entrants go from, 1 to 5 million in ARR, or 0 to 2 million in 8 months, which maybe to get back to your question, traction is kind of a thing to note. And the aspect that's a little bit more challenging to discern is kind of, we talk about moats or competitive advantages. And in a space that's moving as rapidly as AI, kind of imagining customer lock-in and long-term defensibility is a little bit more difficult to see play out, which, I said there's been companies go from 0 to 1 or 1 to 5 in ARR. The question will be, those companies that can get to 10 or 15 million in ARR, can they then get to 20 to 50, and can they stay there? Or will there be a new wave of entrants that enter and kind of, take on the startup that's quickly become old for this technology?
Yeah.
I always think of it as like there's pioneers and then there's settlers. Frequently the pioneers get overtaken by the settlers. The first ones out there have to deal with all the arrows and slings, and then the next wave is that second wave of people who's like can learn from that first wave. So I think it's in this space, it'll be interesting to see how things play out.
Are there other pockets of insurance that you would say are kind of ripe for, kind of like this, like a platform style innovation?
One area that I've been spending time thinking a little bit about, and my team has as well, as the TPA space. So building kind of new tech stacks that focus on claims and claims adjusting. That's a space that obviously servicing and claims is a huge aspect of the value that insurance provides, and there's lots of manual process, lots of paper, lots of text to interpret, which AI systems are increasingly good at. There's also lots of people involved, which the claims professionals are very good at their craft. So I wouldn't say replacing them necessarily, but similar to how Ledgebrook tech enables underwriters, there's lots of opportunity to tech enable claims professionals to make them kind of better, faster, and better at serving their end user.
Very cool. I want to talk a little bit about the culture at Ledgebrook for a second, Nathan. So, kind of leading the charge there as a CTO, like, how do you foster this, like an engineering culture that's comfortable, kind of like moving fast, but also in a heavy regulated space like insurance?
Yeah. Before I answer that question, I did realize from this last section that the most important thing that I think we can do as a company is change our name from ledgebrook.com to ledgebrook.ai.
AI, yeah. See if it's available.
Yeah. So, culture-wise and being a true engineering company, I think the unique thing about Ledgebrook thus far has been that everybody that we've hired on the business side, for the most part, has insurance background. They know what bad is. They know what good could look like. They have the acumen and the years of experience to be able to really say what they need. And then everybody, 35 person strong, the engineering team now hasn't come from insurance. They've seen what good looks like in fintech, in health tech, and you name it. We've been there. And so it's not only that, but, as a remote company, you're able to meld these groups together in various Slack channels and get, the instant feedback of your customer using the product. So I think that has been, very good for the engineering team in general, that fast feedback loop that just, keeps compounding as we build these things and build out new systems. In terms of maintaining the engineering discipline, I mean, I think it falls out of what I just said too, right? It's, we have come from industries and companies that have embraced a lot of the best practices in tech for the past, few decades. And so we're able to take that knowledge, and even though the underlying domain has changed, the infrastructure and mechanics that we'll use are still very homogenous.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talk to a lot of startups that are, in health tech as an example, right? And, heavy compliance, environment, very sensitive data. And we always ask, are you looking for folks that have this very specific healthcare experience? And it's not necessarily that, but it is, folks that have worked in, very sensitive, data sets, if that be in fintech, if it be within a national security environment, but still kind of like building with that mindset, but not necessarily having to be from that specific domain. So it sounds like that kind of carries over too with Ledgebrook, where it's, we're not looking for engineers specifically coming from insurance, but, having folks that are coming from some other sort of regulated industries that has some carryover.
Yeah, it can definitely be helpful. And like the primary thing, honestly, that we look for is somebody with a builder's mindset, right? Somebody that really thinks about the product, versus just, I need to get this commit out.
Yeah.
One interesting anecdote that I've seen, and I've spent quite a bit of time with the Ledgebrook team over the last few years, and is a curious mindset as well. So I've spoken to people on Nathan's team who they don't have an insurance background. They're an engineer, but they want to take an actuary class or get an actuarial designation, and I think that speaks to the Nathan, I think, used the term builder's mindset, but the curious and interested in insurance and want to all in on Ledgebrook mindset that they've been able to cultivate.
Yeah, good point.
So let's talk just about where the platform's headed. What is it that you guys have on the roadmap in terms of, maybe expanding into new product lines or geographies, or doubling down on infrastructure? What is it that you would love to see on the kind of the vision board over the next 6 to 12 months?
For me, we're always launching new products, right? So we've been general casualty. We've had different iterations of that we will get the notification that, hey, we just signed this deal. We needed to go live in 2 weeks. And after the initial, oh shit, we were able to hit those goals. So, the next year, well, we're about to launch our cyber offering in the beginning of next year. And we're looking at doing property, maybe depending on if we get the right team involved. And when I say team, underwriting team that's interested in building out something new. So those are always on our mind. In addition to that, going back to what Mike was saying about TPA being ripe for disruption, one thing that doesn't really exist in the underwriting workbench insurance tech ecosystem is something that combines both the underwriting workbench and the claims system. So we're going to embark on that beginning of next year as well. It's crazy to me when you talk to industry veterans, but they'll be like, as an underwriter, you request from your own claims department the losses that have transpired over the course of however many years you've had that policy, and they can take 2 or 3 weeks to get back to you. So it's like, okay, let's just make this stuff real time like we've done with everything else. So I'm excited about that. Embracing the AI LLM, the 2 things that we're doing with that. One is we are what I like to call workforce AI. And so we've partnered with Amazon, and we're using their Amazon Q Enterprise. And what it allows our team to do, our non-tech team, is use natural language to build out workflows that are causing them lots of pain. And so we have two things that have already been built by the 10 pilot users that we have. And that's what I'm really excited about, to see those in production, right? Because right now, those requests come to our team, and it is a big backlog of those requests. And when you're able to provide them the infrastructure and the guardrails to do it, not only do you, enable them to, move faster and move quicker, but also enables us to move faster and move quicker. So I'm excited about that. And then, last but not least, the we have like the initial chat bot, but actually being able to converse with our data, actually being able to review a policy document as it comes in real time, and being able to do all the things that I know are possible with LLMs at this point is something that we've set for the first half of next year as well.
Cool. Yeah, it's exciting. Kind of some milestones that you have listed there, and just maybe some quick hits on the company for our listeners. What's the head count at? I think you mentioned it's fully remote, but what's the head count at? Maybe some info on the funding to date, and then would love to hear about some of the roles that you guys are looking to hire up for as well.
Sure. So yes, we are remote. What I always tell people when they're interviewing and they ask that, are you always going to be remote? And I say, well, I can't promise that, but what I can promise is I will be the first person to tender my resignation. So I think we're always going to be a remote company for a variety of reasons. We have roughly close to 200 full-time now.
Wow.
The engineering group, I think, is the 35, I think, somewhere around there. And we're eyeing for a lot of roles. So the engineering team, we've got a head of IT is something we've been putting off for a long time. We've got full stack roles, mid all the way up to senior. We've got engineering manager roles. We've got data engineering roles. We've got, I'm probably forgetting something, but product manager role. And then that's just within engineering. So even across underwriting, operations, you name it, we're hiring.
Yeah, that's I don't think I realized that you guys were 200. So how many underwriters do you actually have on the team then?
We were just in Las Vegas for the underwriting summit, and there were, I think, 78.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely is a testament to the quality that you place on like that, call it like that white glove experience, right? Like, not just throwing things into the tech and hoping it spits out the right thing, but making sure it's kind of paired with a human, an expert in that space. Cool. Very, very, very exciting. I take it not looking for any sort of catfish, applying to
I kind of want to have the experience just so I can talk about it,
Oh, I can forward you some resumes. I've definitely done those interviews where I saw somebody like walking around in the background as like there looked like a towel around. They were calling from like some sort of call center dorm room craziness. It was just as within 2 seconds, it's like, yeah, we're done.
That's what I need. Give me a couple resumes so I can just experience it.
Just put them on with Lily. Let Lily do the screening.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure to shout out some of the some of those roles that you're hiring for when we post the episode. Outside of that, I think we can kind of segue into the final portion of the episode, which is just kind of a fun rapid fire Q&A. It's called the 5-second scramble. Try to give us your best answer within 5 seconds. You won't get fully air horned off if you don't, but try to keep it moving. First thing that comes to mind type of thing. Mike, why don't you start with Mike and then I will wrap with Nathan.
Sounds good. You ready, Mike?
Sure. I'm curious, is the wheel in the background there going to be in play?
Nah, we phased it out, but I can give it a spin while you're waiting. It's almost like a little let's go, Mike.
So there we go. So what makes American Family Ventures unique?
The people.
What's one thing about...
Is that the rapid fire you want? Is just short, blunt answers?
Yeah. Or, I mean, you can expand a little bit, but yeah.
The people are great, and we've been at this for over a decade.
Awesome. What's one thing about Insurtech that you think would surprise people?
How vast and broad it can get.
What's a common mistake early stage companies make when seeking investment?
Not being able to succinctly describe what their company does.
That's a problem.
It's important.
That's amazing. Where do you see AI having the biggest impact in commercial insurance?
Providing efficiency gain to humans.
What advice have you received that you found to be truer over the course of your career?
Relationships matter, and build a posse of people that that have your back.
Nice. What was your first car?
A Subaru Outback.
Nice.
Very nice. As a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Probably a professional hockey player.
Oh, really?
You kind of have a hockey name. Mike Mansell sounds like a hockey name.
Yeah, it could be a hockey name. Yeah. You have a favorite team?
No, I'm not a huge NHL guy. More college hockey. Wisconsin Badgers.
Of course. Cool. What's your go-to movie theater snack?
Popcorn, but I don't remember the last time I was at a movie.
What's a surprising hobby of yours?
I kind of gave it away with hockey. I play hockey once a week still.
Oh, nice. And then last one, what's a charity or cause that's near and dear to you?
I would say working with college students. I like to kind of mentor. I don't know if that's a charity, but call it a cause. And I get energy from being around college students interested in insurance.
Nice.
Good stuff. All right, Nathan, you ready?
Let's do it.
I'm going to spin the wheel.
No, thank you.
It means nothing. All right, if Ledgebrook were a band, what genre would you play?
Oh, I mean, I think it has to be classic rock. Maybe there's a little techno in there to be the new engine.
I'm thinking of like a Bob Seger. I dig it.
Yeah.
What's one non-technical skill every engineer should have?
communication, just being able to converse with people.
Yeah. What's something about the culture at Ledgebrook that you would want new employees to know about?
We love to make fun of each other, which has been a lot of fun.
That's great. What's the most surprising skill that you've had to learn in your career?
Tech support at this job when I first started.
Nice.
Need that director of IT. If you weren't building in Insurtech, what other industry would you be tackling?
Oh man, I don't know. Trying to think of something that hasn't been tackled already, but the only thing that's coming to mind is going back to AI. I hate myself for saying it.
What's your favorite travel destination for personal travel?
Oh, my favorite place I've ever been, probably Hawaii.
Nice. What was your very first job?
Very first job, I actually taught inner city kids programming when I was 15.
Wow, that's cool. What was the name of it? Was it just like a nonprofit or?
It was through the Southwestern Athletic Conference in Birmingham, where I was from.
Nice. Cool. If you had to teach a master class on something that has nothing to do with your job, what would it be?
I love writing parody songs, so that's probably what I would go with.
Oh, cool. First time we've ever heard that. So that's unique points. Favorite pizza topping?
It's got to go sausage.
And then last one, what's a charity or corporate philanthropy that's near and dear to you?
Alzheimer's. So I've got some support that in the family.
Very good. Yeah, we'll plug both of those in the show notes as well. And the episode gets pushed live. But Nathan and Mike, thank you guys both for joining us on the pair program. Really enjoyed learning about the market and excited to see what's next for Ledgebrook and American Family Ventures. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks.